Oh man. So originally I was gonna do this a little bit earlier, but I just couldn't get up out of bed. So here we are. Well, people do like to get excited for these different holidays. They do try to like, oh, I have my New Year's resolution. I don't do that anymore because I just don't see much of a difference here. I always say that it's just it's the same old thing, just a different day. So I don't allow myself to get excited over something like that. Um, Yesterday I went to my job and they told me I'd be there from 12 to 7, and just like the day before Christmas, when you actually start working there, it's only when you're there do they announce, "Oh no, your shift isn't anywhere near as long as we told you it would be." So that shift was supposed to be, as it's on the calendar, from like 12, or excuse me, from 11 to 7. It only ended up being 4 hours, 11 to 3. And then the one yesterday was only 2 hours. It was 12 to 2, which really annoyed me because it's like I drove all the way out here just for, what is that, like 30 something bucks. So, and my thing is, like, I only get annoyed because they don't tell you that until you get there. You go and you look at the schedule and it says 12 to 7. You're like, okay, well, let me make my accommodations to be able to, make it through the day. And then you find out afterward, oh no, it's nowhere near as massive as you thought it would be. Because the Christmas Eve one, I felt so bad that I went and grabbed a 5-hour energy, and that's a drink I hadn't had since I was a kid. Just I took this drink, drank about half of it, under the assumption this is a shift that's going to go until 7 o'clock, and then when I get in there, they're like, "Oh no, it's actually just till 3." So I was very irritated. Mm. God, imagine driving like 30 miles just for 30 bucks. That's like $1 per mile. Because normally I wouldn't even entertain the idea of doing something that crazy, but that's what happens when they don't tell you stuff, when they like leave you in the dark about how much time you're gonna actually be there. That's usually when I'm just like, okay, well, I guess this is a non-winnable situation. This is something that I'm not going to be able to get out of in any decent or simplistic way. But it's sad that they can't just be transparent with that type of stuff. It really is, because you'll go into a day like that thinking, oh man, I need to make sure I can stay up for this. Um, like on, I'm not kidding. Yesterday, I was just laying down, like just sleeping. Right, they want me to go get there at 12, and because an hour away, that means I have to like leave at 10 something. Um, and the whole time I was just like getting up and getting ready and whatnot. I was thinking to myself, man, I hope that I can, survive through this shift. So when I get there and I find out it's only 2 hours, I said, man, I could have, if I knew that, I would have probably released it or called in sick or something. I mean, that's nothing. Driving all the way out here for that. People like they have this phrase about chump change. That's about as chump change as you get. Because I feel like a real chump for even going out here and trying to work for those type of hours. I said, man, that was a real letdown. Like, people just, I know they don't care. I know that's customary of businesses, just to not care about their employees and like how much time a person will put into working somewhere, or to running back and forth for these places. But wow, it was like that's the full extent of this shift. I do have a coworker up there who actually resonates with me a little bit. He and I have some nice conversations, and uh it's nice to have someone that kind of is sort of similar to you in the sense of they're just trying to do a job. They know how unfair the people that they're working for can be. Uh they admit that a lot of times they just go on autopilot. Like with me, I say this with complete sincerity. I try as hard as I can, even if I'm having a bad day outside of going to a job, and sometimes because of a job, to try and go in each day with something of a good mood. And very seldom do I think anyway, ever let whatever disposition I may have outside of work affect how I operate at work. The closest you'll get to me doing that is if I'm really sick and I just can't move as quick as I normally would or whatever. That's like the only time you'll just get me like, okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, yeah. I was reading this book and I noticed that the pages stick together, which is really annoying. Oh man, I tell you. I'm just astonished by how much stuff is involved with just trying to get a job, have a job, manage having a job. Because even with this one, and the fact that they do give me like, you know, actually manageable hours, the reality is they're still not giving the full 40. It always like teeters closer to that than nothing. Like it was like 24 for I think this week and then 27 for the week after that. So it is close to that, but it still isn't anywhere near what like a full schedule, which drives me insane. Because I really don't want to have to go and try and get two jobs again, just due to the insanity that we saw last time with the other place where they kept getting mad that they were. I explained before, like you would in a simplistic world where things made sense, you would work one place and they would either give you 40 hours or you'd be able to find some other place, and then that other place would try to accommodate your schedule based on the fact that you're with these other people and they schedule you weeks in advance. But instead we have really just jerks that control these businesses who want you to be available when they feel like it. And when you're not, that's when they're just like, okay, well, you can get out of here, which is what happened with the other place. It's like, oh, you're not. I still can't go over the guy saying you're not around when they need you. They don't need me. That's why they won't give me any hours. So these jobs, they really expect people to just be there. I don't even know, like you're their property effectively. I mean, it's one thing to not give somebody any hours because that a lot of jobs do that, but then it's like on top of that, you're gonna try and like get mad at the person for working somewhere where they get hours. Like, what's wrong with you? So I said a lot of these places are just nuts. Man, people just I don't know. Employers, I'm really sour on them. Like as a group. Yeah, I thought about doing another romance video, but problem is I really don't know what direction to take with it. Uh it's kind of one of those things where, in an abstract sense, we could talk about like, oh, the feelings of loneliness and that again, but I don't know. I guess I kind of we could talk about the romance comic book where a lot of stuff in comics I noticed is kind of analogous to this woman stuff, like the status quo, right? Of like the single man that keeps seeking out a woman that never reciprocates. That's akin to something in a comic where you have like the various heroes that fight the villains over and over, and the villain gets defeated but finds a way to come back each time, and how nothing ever substantively changes. Maybe there's a new villain that gets introduced, but generally speaking, the status quo stays the same year after year. That's pretty much how the woman stuff is. Uh, where it's like you get the chicks that waste your time. And sometimes they say things that are kind of flirtatious. Oh, I think of you in this way, or I whatever, whatever. But same old result. And then you have these like weird guys that come out of the blue to defend them. Um, so there's always those two things together that just stay the same. And sometimes they're not as bad as they've been in other scenarios. Like you don't have as many of these guys showing up nowadays as you used to, but it's still just a common enough thing to where you notice it like, man, this does not get any better. This does not change. So I guess I could do that video, the romance comic book, because that's really what it feels like. Just a big old joke. And it's one that I don't really find all that funny. No, I was watching this more of these like outrage channels, and they were talking about Aquaman 2 was supposed to flop, and then it turned out that it didn't do as bad as they thought it would, or it made like I think 250 million in 2 weeks. I said, well, I'm not really surprised because whatever people feel about Amber Heard, it's like Aquaman is one of DC's most important characters. I mean, besides the Trinity, Green Lantern, and the Flash, there's really not anyone else they can pull out who's like, had their own books for 50 years and just been a common I mean, he's a major part of the DC universe, more so than almost, than like 90 something percent of their characters. So I figured that would at least rake in some money. And the fact that the first one made a billion, what was that, 4 years ago? I don't think it's not going to probably get anywhere close to that, but I think it'll probably I'm gonna say get at least 300 million, which is still a flop that didn't break even, but it's better than the Marvels by by quite a bit. Like I said, the real root problem is they're just spending too much money on these movies. Like, imagine living in an era where people just take $200 million and spend it on making one movie, not a slate of movies, not a whole series of TV shows, just one movie, $200 million, or even higher than that sometimes. Like I said, these are all end game level budgets, and the studios are not making end game level money. They're not coming anywhere close to that. Not a single one of these films throughout the entire year, including the few that were good, made $1 billion. Not one. People are just tired of this. They don't want to accept it though. And this is a real screw up year for Sony, because Sony has three superhero movies, and I don't think any of them except probably Venom 3 are going to do well or even like make back any type of money. And that still might not do as good as they hope it will. God, what a wacky era. Mm. I'm not kidding. It's actually really depressing to think we live in an era where we're never going to get another Iron Man or Captain America movie because the MCU is never going to reboot, or at least will reboot no time soon. We have no idea when this supposed Spider-Man film is going to come out. That could be anywhere from the next 2 years to 3 years, or they still haven't announced a release date for that. Um, it's crazy. Like the only major Marvel property that's getting something released in the next few years is Fantastic Four. Nobody cares about Thunderbolts, and I mean, it's goofy. All these big, huge, giant characters, and they just will not use them. What a waste. And then when you look at DC, they're trying to restart their cinematic universe. I mean, it's like I guess I'm glad we're finally getting another Superman movie after what is that, 12 years? Solo Superman movie, but then it's all again like starting over has me rolling my eyes. Um, like I said, this is just a period where when it comes to these comic book films, there's really not much to look forward to. It's a lot of reboots, a lot of adaptations about characters that people do not care about, and for that reason, I just can't get excited. Maybe somebody else will, but not me. Oh man. Everything is just so hollow nowadays. Like we get all of these adaptations and they're just whatever. Like I'm dead serious when I say I can't get excited for a single one of these films. Except maybe like Deadpool 3 is just I don't think that'll be bad, but you look at this other stuff, it's just whatever. Still battling that cold. I'm laughing at the guy that was talking trash about me wearing gloves. It's like, dude, it's cold over here all the time, especially during winter. It's rained. It's been so cold. I've put on 3 blankets and still felt like it wasn't enough. I mean, people are really dumb. That's all I can say. If they convince themselves that because you live in one state or whatever, the weather is the same 24/7, January through December, they're buffoons. Oh man. I just hate it when somebody tells you they're gonna do something and they don't do it. I only had 2 people say Happy New Year to me. Wow. It's whatever. I'm not terribly surprised. Somehow you can always find the similar results with a lot of this stuff. No, the most disappointing thing to me about clothing and attire and all the rest of that is just it seems like you never get to a point where it's enough. Like I know some people that have like closets full of clothes, and I even used to make this point before. Like I told this one relative, I said, when you see this other person, pay attention to the fact that you never see them wear the same thing twice. And they started to notice that after I pointed out to them, but it was like, what's the point? It's like what's the purpose of that? Why do you need so many different damn clothes? Like what how does this advance your life in any meaningful way? It's just really sad. I mean, I gave the example before. I said I don't want to be the age of the that relative we were talking about where and like, be in that situation. I'm trying as hard as I can to not end up in that scenario. But yeah, me and my coworker had a pretty interesting conversation about the women's stuff. I didn't say everything, but I said enough to where it was like, yeah, it was just kind of like a general rundown of my ideas as far as like just all of it just being a waste of time and everything slanted in favor of the broad, just stuff like that. It seemed to resonate with him because he also had some frustrations with these with this modern crew of I don't even know what you would call them. Like sometimes you're dealing with gold diggers, sometimes you're dealing with time wasters. They're all types of different things. Oh man. I even tried explaining that, it's not hard to see like different attractive chicks, but just not have any desire to go out and talk to one of them or ask one of them out because we had several years back what I call woman overload, where it was like you go on Reddit every day and you're talking to all these different broads that are talking about how lonely they are and how they want somebody to send them a message, and then um you go to like different stores and the market and all these other places trying to talk. And that like it that really was a period where I just said, when is enough enough? Like how many of them do you have to put yourself out in front of before this is over with? Because it's like I would look at um you know these different females that were like around women that were around the same age, and like they don't have to do anything to get a man. They don't have to sign up for 50 different dating sites. They don't have to uh every day or every other day travel to the mall or to the market I mean, none of this stupid stuff affected them. It didn't. They do the littlest efforts and get the most reward. Drives me absolutely insane. So I just said to hell with it. It was too obnoxious. Nothing was getting any better, just the same old stuff every year. Yeah, they're just a really just aggravating group of people. And that's why I said honestly, outside of when I do a project or some other type of like group activity, whether it's a job or whatever, I really don't have anything to do with them. I'm not gonna indulge any of them anymore. Just too aggravating. I don't know what it is. The pages in these books, they're just, it's like they're filled with cement. They just stick together. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't usually get paperbacks, because I always feel like they're just gonna tear on me very easily. That's the funniest part to me about like reading your when you're just being surrounded by all these other people who don't read anything ever. So they just see me as this strange, odd character. Yeah, I just kind of get sick of a lot of this stuff. Because sometimes I really do sit back and wonder, when are we going to see some real transformative thing happen as far as like, you know, um, when you go out and make videos, oh, is this one going to be the one that does any better than the rest, or is it just the same old stuff over and over? Because even with the job, it's like I keep thinking to myself, am I going to be here in 6 months or a year or 5 years or 10 years? Maybe 6 months or a year is possible, but am I really going to be driving 30 miles every day or every time I work somewhere I mean, I don't know. But that it seems like the job market calls for that because earlier this year I went to this interview. This back in like April, and the place was so far away. I think it was like 50 miles, and like they were talking as if they wanted me to work for them. I said, this is just too far. So that's like a running gag I've noticed. All the places that are like basically right in my backyard, they're unavailable. You just can't work for them. But then the ones that are far away are like, yeah, come here, boy. Yeah, join us. That's the nuts part of this to me, but it really seems like that's the case. And this is why I say everything is so backwards. Doing all this stuff just to get a job. Like to work for this place, I had to apply for 30 positions in the company, all across different stores throughout this whole like section of the state. It was nuts. And that's not the first time I've had to do that. There was another place where I did that about 2 years ago, and they didn't net me any positive results. But again, it's like that's the insanity you have to deal with when you're trying to work for one of these people. You have to overextend yourself. How did you get a job? Oh, I just applied to the same company 30 times. Totally normal. But again, people have they've taken this like weird stuff and just made it seem like that's just a common thing. Like, oh, you want to work somewhere? Just apply to 50 positions or 30 positions or 100 different locations. Just that this is just how you do it. And I truly get tired of it. I say, hey, look, this is stupid. It's not worth my time doing this, but it is what it is. Man, I swear, oh yeah, my favorite thing is that YouTube likes to demonetize every stream after I do it. So like we'll have the most coarse language, the most relaxed language. We're not calling anybody out their name in any like seriously offensive way. And I'll go into that yellow stain on the thing, and then I'll, when I appeal it, almost every time I can remember that I've appealed it, they've reverted it back to green. But it's just so weird. Like they have a defensive maneuver where without even seeing your stream, they just assume it violates some kind of guideline or does something wrong, and I'm tired of that. It's just the distrust for no reason. That's why I say society is so annoying, but they don't care. It's nuts to me that they don't even watch this stuff and they just conclude, oh yeah, let's demonetize that, because it'll be right after I finish streaming that I'll look and I'll see the yellow stain. I'm like, oh, here we go again. So they've demonstrated they do not care. They will keep on messing things up and fibbing, and it's annoying. Just a really aggravating company. And the funniest part is, as you watch this, you know that the really, really bigger channels that come out and do that, this type of stuff, they have a whole bunch of violations, and like they don't care. They just, because they make them so much money, they just let them get away with whatever. So it's like they're very harsh to the smaller content creators, but the big ones, they let those people run this site to the ground if they can. Yeah, I'm just fascinated by the lack of consistency on their part. No, they don't explain their rules that good. They just seem to make it up as they go along. In fact, many times on these different long running sites, they'll change the rules as people who've been there longer than the rules were changed will like possibly get in trouble for having stuff that now violates rules. Like you can't say this in the video. Well, somebody uploaded a video saying that 5 years ago. Are you going to go back and punish them for that? Really? Yeah, they just keep changing stuff up so much. So I'm not surprised when we have this stuff. No, I don't. I don't even bother with a lot of this stuff. It's just so weird. Like too many lies. Too much distrust. And it's crazy how this site really does just serve as like a microcosm of a lot of the other problems I have with institutions where rules keep changing. Um, rules for thee, but not for me. I'm noticing that where it's like it parallels other places. Yeah, this is a quite a trying time. um, I was watching this one documentary somebody called himself making on that romance stuff, and the guy that they interviewed was wearing this mask, and somebody took it and they were doing a commentary over it, and it's all the same old drivel you've heard 1,000 times. Oh, all you have to do is this, and you guys think you guys want women that are tens out of tens. And I this really does deserve a whole separate segment or video, but it's like, I think about the woman from the She's a 10 stream, or I mean, even like the ones we described here, and it's like I wouldn't even honestly call them threes, but we've explained before, as a result of social media and the fact that men just in general don't have any standards, women who are not supermodel like at all basically get treated as if they are. Like, they have no shortage of men that show interest in them. They don't ever seek into despair thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna have no one." No, they no. So that's why I said, like, all that stuff of, "Oh, the you guys want the most beautiful." It's like it doesn't matter. Even a random chick doesn't have a dollar in their pocket, is considered the most beautiful woman ever. Even the 300-pound ones are considered attractive because they have men asking them out. So it really doesn't matter as long as there's a triangle on that thing. It's supposed to, like, it's like a god compared to guys, which is nuts. But that's the world we live in, unfortunately. No, I find it really comical that they're still peddling that stuff. They're still pretending that it matters. Man, people are just so irritating. Because all their solutions to things are so simplistic. Like, I remember when I was talking about, being like frustrated with the lack of new subscribers, a frustration I no longer have because I've already like come to terms with just the way that these people are when they sub to people. This guy was like, "Oh, get a better camera and get this type of background and lighting." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not about to buy all this other trash for the sake of getting 5 more views on this stupid site." Sorry. People want so much effort for like nothing. It's crazy. I honestly I would find that more hilarious if it weren't so obnoxious. Like, hey, person that has limited resources because they didn't have a job for almost an entire year, go and buy all this stuff so that the people who already do not support you will continue to not support you, and you'll look even stupider for putting all this effort into stuff that doesn't make you any resources back. Yeah, just brilliant. So I said, just they don't think at all. They come up with things in their mind and they rattle it off. It's like they write this like they're really helping somebody is what I find funny. Like, the confidence attached to this stuff, because it's all so hollow and fake and like means nothing. Fake concern. We talked about it before, but it's like they say it with complete conviction. Oh, if this person just bought a new camera, suddenly there would be loads of people watching them. Yeah. it's comical to me. No, if you're a content creator, you should just pretend like you're not bothered by anything. Because if you come out and complain about, oh, people aren't watching this, whatever, get ready to have some random person descend from the sky to try and give their unwanted, unsolicited, undesired opinion on why things are the way they are and why you should do this. It's irritating. Let me turn this thing on. Ugh. Figure we could have a little bit of light. Always try to have some brightness, even if it all feels so doom and gloom. That's another thing. I was around this that manager yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was probably earlier this week, and she let out the biggest burp I've heard in a while. And look, my thing is, people can get mad if they want, but isn't it fascinating how unladylike a lot of these modern women are? Like, just even as a man, I would still feel kind of, what's the way of putting it? I would still show some courtesy, like, hey, with my hand over my mouth, or just loud burp in front of all of us in the back. Like, wow, some people have no shame. That's why I said you just can't take any of this stuff seriously anymore. Like, oh, okay, I already saw this. Yeah, this person said they were going to speak to, like, have some kind of call, right? And they didn't. So I'm annoyed because what's going to probably end up happening is they'll do it randomly at some point over the next few days, and I'll be at work or something and won't be able to attend it. God, last night would have been perfect, and they just and the day before that would have been good, but they just kept not doing it. So get ready to be let down. That's all these people know how to do. Guys, I'm going to speak to you on Saturday. Saturday passes. No message on Sunday. Oh, Happy New Year. It's like, what about the thing you said you're going to do on Saturday? What happened to that? That's why I said they don't care. They say one thing, do the opposite. Have you quit the dating scene? Found you from VVS? I haven't heard from VVS in so long. He just made his own content and then just vanished altogether. Like, it was really crazy. Uh I feel like it's not news that I stopped talking to chicks. I wasn't playing. They're like poison. I don't even know why anyone wastes their time with them anymore. That was the funniest thing about the streams where you have somebody like, "Oh, did you or do you still talk to the?" No, no, that's dead. I say there'd have to be a complete transformation for me to even bother with them. Well, I never identified with that group, so I don't know what else to tell you. You could search that term all day long. You would never see any instance where I used it. because I'm not affiliated with anyone's team. I'm not on any of these stupid forums. I just think talking to chicks is a total waste of time. No, that was always the weirdest thing about that group. They wanted to claim somebody like, "Oh, he's part of us." No, no, I'm not in anyone's team. Because when you join groups like that, anytime one of them does something crazy, even if you don't, if you don't condone it, even if you didn't know the person, you get blamed for it nonetheless. Every time. So I'd rather not be part of anyone's romance team. I mean, the only significant thing that's happened is now we know for a fact that it's like 60 something percent of guys 18 to 29 aren't even like with a woman, but then it's like only 30 something percent of chicks are single. So we know now factually that most quote unquote young guys are not with a woman in the US anyway, which I'm not surprised by. I mean, we already know how rancid these chicks are. No, I'm not affiliated with any teams. They've really, like I said, I don't think anyone should have a monopoly on an opinion. Like I don't think if you say, "Oh, I'd rather not ask out chicks anymore," now you'd be like, "Oh yeah, now you're part of this group. Go join our forums." No, and it's like these organizations don't even offer you anything. Like they don't give you a pension. They don't promote you. Nothing. Just so yeah, I don't think you'll see me on any of those affiliated with any of them. No, I wish I knew what happened to VVS. He just vanished. Like he was a really frequent person in my comment section, and he just disappeared after he made some content. I know I saw some of it, and then he just sort of went away. Okay, and that'd be funny if I just like disappear. It's like what happened to him? He was making all this stuff, and then he just vanished. Oh, he had a baby. I mean, if that's what you say happened, that's what you say happened. I don't have any way of confirming or denying it. That is well known in the BP. Well, I'm not in the BP community. I'm not, I just said I'm not part of any of these organizations. I'm not on any forums. Like my association with any of these groups is you do a video that they agree with, a few of their supposed members leave a comment or two, and that's all you interact with them through. They come to you. That is well known in the BP community. I'm just imagining all of them just like passing around. Hey, did you hear about VVS? Hey, did you hear about? Mm. Yeah, that's another thing. Once these people stop showing up on my stuff, I don't really look into them. So you wouldn't see me be like, oh yeah, what happened to this person? Let me go and investigate. Usually I would just let them do whatever they like. Because my thing is there has to be a reason why you won't come back. So I let them go their way. Yeah, the members of the ship is always switching up on me. I had this one stupid rod I used to talk to. She had a kid, and I was so floored by how every time she posts a recording of herself, you can hear the kid in the background. And I was talking about how, it's so sad. This is a woman who you would discuss like just in general wanting to get married with just again not to you or with that person, but just this was something that they claimed they wanted. And it's like, isn't it sad that instead of having a substantive two-person union, you would rather play single mother to some kid you had with a guy that just seemingly vanished out of the clear blue sky after impregnating you. Like I don't know. I just think it's a real it's not an appealing alternative to what we discussed. I think it's really sad that people allow their lives to end up that way, but they do it to themselves. I'll turn this light off before this person complains. Why do you have the light on during the day? They always have something to whine about. Nothing but ranting and raving. Yep. Ugh. It's always so much better when they're not around. Oh, God. I remember it. I was watching the person's response to that. I think they did an I Word documentary, and they were like, "Oh, you just need to have your own car, a job, in your own place to get a woman." I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I could concede that those help, but you're still dealing with a group of chicks that they've been around this before. It's not really something that's that unique. Let me see. The dating game. It seems the dirtbag guys win in life. Well, I mean, if you listen to the people online, I'm one of the dirtbags. I mean, I could show all types of screenshots of people talking trash and calling me out of my name and whatnot. So it's all just subjective. But I don't really think any of these, like, even if we've discussed this before, but just like in general, I've talked about this. Even if you're with one of them, you still are not guaranteed a victory. Like we've talked about before, how sometimes they cheat, sometimes when they have some kid with some guy they're not married to, they put them on child support. There's plenty of ways to still get screwed and end up in some horrible scenario, even if you end up technically succeeding with being with a woman, because being with one of them doesn't mean you just automatically ride off into the sunset. Looks is required for women. Him having money, apartment is just a bonus. Yeah, but it's like looks is that's subjective. You have all these different guys that could basically just go around and get accused of. I mean, I mentioned before that was one of the main things they would use towards me. Oh, you're ugly. It's like that was their way of thwarting any legitimate argument you have against these broads, right? Just, oh, you are personally unattractive, so anything that's happened to you is warranted. You deserve to have your time wasted. You deserve to be attacked over your appearance by mostly by people who hide their face. Ironically enough, I mean, they didn't care. This is why I said the appearance stuff is just it's another one of those things that exists in the abstract, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference. The same broads that'll say they think you're attractive will waste your time just like the ones that don't say you're attractive. Nothing but a time waste. Man, I wish looks mattered to men because some of these chicks, I've already said before, if God Himself came down and said you can either be with one of them, and it's these big 300-pound ones that I've been talking about, or you could be single for the rest of your life, I'll pick the latter option. I'd rather just stay single forever because like I'm not like the chicks. I don't pretend as if I'm this nun angelic angel who cares so much about personality. No, I have my own desires like anyone else does. I'm honest about it. They they're nothing but a bunch of liars who pretend like some guy. Really, the biggest problem is they just view most men as filler. So no matter how nice you are or how much she might compliment you, if you're not her desired person that she wants to be with, she'll just throw you to the wayside. God, this thing just will not shut up. If only I had woken up an hour earlier, isn't that? So I could think to myself, well, if only. I tried to, I really did, but I just wasn't feeling that strong. Yeah, but I'm just dismayed by how loud these people can be. Uh, is leaving an emoji on a girl's IG cheating? I mean, I would think that that's not, but some people I'm sure are insane enough. Like I already told the story of the woman where her boyfriend believed she was cheating on him by speaking to another man, even if there was no romantic comments or things exchanged of that nature at all. And she knew he was stupid for believing this, but she still bent the knee to him and stopped speaking to me because he gave her the ultimatum of it's either him or you. I am talking specifically about the following emoji. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's cheating to just post an emoji. Nobody was touched, nobody was kissed, nobody it's stupid. But I'm sure some insane woman or man will look at that and lose their respective minds. So there we go. There we go. There we go. They do this every time, man. Every time. This person is cheating on me. Oh, did you see them having an affair? Oh, they wrote something on somebody's account. That's the big cheating that occurred. Really? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I said all this romance stuff is just a joke. Like it's just a big parody. I don't see when I go outside or even just like throughout the town. I don't see people happily exclaiming with their partner, "Oh, I'm having so much fun with this person and we have a connection." No, it's just this person is physically attractive. I consider myself to be physically attractive, so we go and do little whatever type stuff together until one of us gets upset with the other one over whatever. And then we have some big spat that either kills the romance or delays it until we go back to the same old dumb stuff that we were doing before. Like that's it. That's literally all of these romances in a nutshell. There is no real connection. It's just people that think the other one is attractive and like to flaunt it. It's just a waste. That's why I said I don't even like being around couples, let alone trying to pursue one of these heifers. Mm. So you can have them. Isn't it sad when somebody's sleeping and another person comes in and they're just so loud that the person probably woke up? But I guess not. God, I tell you, just stuff is crazy. No, I'm just dismayed by the whole thing. I'm trying to figure out what happened to the others. I guess they took a break today. They're probably sitting there having some vacation. I mean, I would have scoffed at the idea that an emoji would be that damaging to someone's relationship, but uh, after what I've seen over the last few years with these stupid romances, I can say I'm not surprised. No, I don't really take it seriously anymore. So yeah, you can pretty much just expect that. I'm trying to think of something to say here. If you talk to one of these chicks, you'll just get your time wasted. That's one of their favorite hobbies, sitting around and jerking people's chain and oh, you mean so much to me and we have a connection and all the other little stock phrases, but it's all the same old stuff, man. I wouldn't even bother with them. Um, Sometimes I do see ones that I think are attractive, but it's not enough for me to just get up and drop everything I'm doing and try to speak to them because again, attractive women are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. Happy New Year. Here's a little something to commemorate the year for a better positive change this year for us all. Hey, you would show up right as I'm trying to wrap. I was about to wrap this up because this person came back and they're very loud and like making all types of noise. So I appreciate it. I really do. Uh, Especially after the highway robbery of yesterday, where Megumi they told me that I was going to work for 8 hours from 12 to 7. I get there and they only have me work for two for from 12 to like two something. So like just a little bit over 2 hours. It was really lame. And it drives me nuts because you drive all the way over there for that little tiny amount of change. And that's the second time they've done that in the last 2 weeks. The other time was the day before, I guess Christmas Eve, where they just basically, said, "Hey, you're going to be here from 11 to 7," and then you get in there. Oh, we're getting off at 3. That must be it is because they don't tell you. You get your schedule and you look at it and it says these hours, and then when you get there, it's something totally different. So I was very annoyed. I'm telling you, these jobs, man, they do not care. They will do anything they can to slash or slice somebody's hours. It does not matter to them. You drive all the way over there for 2 hours of work. Why can't they just have some consistency? I've done jobs that often like to change times and stuff on the fly. Well, the worst part is when you go out there with an expectation of, okay, I'm going to be here from this time to that time. And then as you're there, they're like, oh no, you're actually going to be here for this many. Like I thought at least the day before Christmas, they told me when I got there, it would be a half shift. I didn't even know I was getting off at 2 something until or 3 o'clock, whatever, until as literally in the middle of the shift, like all the way up until right before the lady said you can clock out. I thought I was going to be there until 7 o'clock that night, and they didn't give me that. So the consistency is just lacking. I guess we shouldn't be surprised. You know how these modern employers are. You can write a whole song about them. They change and switch up on you and transform. You can't take any of this seriously. So I guess next time we'll just kind of see more of the weird qualities of these places. I think what's going to keep happening is every time there's a major holiday, they're going to invite you in the day before to work, and then they're going to reveal on the fly, like, oh, by the way, you're not actually going to be here for the full shift or even anything close to that. Psych. So let me think. What's next? Yeah, like if they have me there the day before Valentine's, it'll be like, oh, you thought, well, no, that's not I don't consider that a major holiday, but you get the point that anytime there's some holiday, like a big one, they have you there the day before, and they tell you you're going to be here for 7 hours, but then they close early so they can get it off. It's really annoying. Oh man, oh, no, what an aggravating day. Do you think they do that deliberately to get you to turn up? Oh yeah, because they like, dude, if you had a job that was 30 miles away, you probably wouldn't show up just to work for 2 hours, thinking you'd be doing a full shift. Absolutely. There's no way they genuinely believed, oh yeah, this person's gonna come all the way out here for that. So they're gonna pretend that this stuff is different, is bigger than it actually is. And that was the worst part about the one the Christmas Eve one where it was only 4 hours, because I went and bought a 5 hour energy to make sure I could get through the shift, and I didn't even drink the whole thing. That's so scummy. I'll tell you, employers love doing scummy things. Remember the other job I had, right? Where they were purposely scheduling themselves to clash with the one that was giving me more hours, thinking I would, like, I guess, bend to their will. And when I said, no, I'll work with this other place that's actually using me. You guys can go, get out of here. And they packed their bags. So I said, these jobs, man, they don't care. They just want a bottom line. Yeah, it's very scummy. But as is the modern employer. Dude, if I get demonetized over that, I'm gonna be so angry because it's kind of like if you go outside and then in your camera view somebody, I don't know, like steps on a dog or whatever. Like, you say to yourself, that's really what's getting I'm in trouble for what somebody else did on my thing, really? Okay. So that's the kind of luck we seem to have with this stuff. So yeah, I tried to get up earlier. I really did. I just you know this I'm still not entirely used to working on Sunday. It just feels corny to me to have to work on the weekend. Because it's like you take the days where somebody's supposed to be relaxing and they have to, uh the full content of that. But I'm just saying, because of like working on the weekend, I wanted to kind of like sleep in a little bit today, and I'm paying for it right now. Because if I had gotten up earlier, then this wouldn't be happening. I totally get you about working on Sundays, and it's like, dude, they wanted me on Saturday too, and these aren't like, little tiny hours, like 4 hours, 3 hours. They want you there for full shifts. Like, if you work on the weekend, you might as well on the weekdays only work maybe 3 days a week, 2 days a week. It's crazy. Seriously, like when I got up yesterday, I was like having to remind myself, oh yeah, have to be there by 12 o'clock. Oh yeah, have to leave 2 hours ahead of time to make sure. I actually didn't have to leave 2 hours because the freeway was pretty light, so it was probably like 40 minutes to get from here to there, but it still was like, man, I could have been at, if this was not even 2 months ago, I would a Sunday morning, I would have been sleeping. Like, I'm used to getting up early on Saturday, to do the streams, but Sunday's supposed to be the rest day, the relaxing day. It's supposed to be the day where you get to just kind of close your eyes and get up eventually, you know. But they always stack something on top of it, and they really wanted me to work on on Saturday as well. It's like, could you imagine like doing a stream in the morning and then you have to like, go to this job and when you get back at 1 in the morning, you have to go back the next day. It's I no, they can have that. That's weekday stuff, not weekend stuff. Forget that. No, I just try to stay away from having to work any any more than you already have to. They love putting people to do stuff on the weekend. That's their favorite time to give hours. Said hell, if I could, I'd find a way to give them to have them give me 10 hours on Saturday and Sunday, and then there's half the work schedule right there. You know, the managers, they have it easy. They come at 7 a.m. and then go and leave at like 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon. So they really just have to work probably 4 days a week because their fifth day all comes from the overtime of the 4 days they already have scheduled. Yeah, I am the same when it comes to work, especially if you have other stuff you want to do when you get home. Well, the worst part is that with this job, you can pick up other people's shifts, but some of it is just not realistic if you want any semblance of rest or a life outside of the job. Like they have me getting off at 1 in the morning for most of the times I work there, right? Somebody has a shift where it's like 7:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock or some like it's a full shift, right? From morning to the afternoon, and it's the day after. So to do that shift, you would have to get off at 1 or 2 in the morning, and you go home and you go to sleep for let's see, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 if you're lucky, and then have to go back over there. I just thought it was too much. So you can call me lazy, but I just couldn't do it. Dude, those managers, they have a blast. They sit over there scratching their nails and stuff at 7 in the morning, collecting their check because they don't open until 10 a.m. So for like 2 hours or and a half, they just get to sit in there with no customers. Then they get off at like 4 o'clock. So how many hours? Let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, like 10 hours in for one day. And remember, they squeeze those together for 4 days a week. They don't have to work for a fifth because that's already a full schedule. Managers, man, God. I see why you don't normally when you see like people struggling financially, if you ever notice it's generally not the managers because the managers are like the few people that the job actually tries to take care of. Everybody else just you're whatever, you're part-time. We have you for 20 hours or 15. Don't you wish you were a manager, Megumi? You could work 4 days a week, 10 hours of work. I've noticed that about managers. They have the best schedules, man. They start working at times where like the business isn't even open and they don't even do anything. Like a lot of them, when I'm working this place, I just see them running back and forth or sitting in the on at the desk. It's very rare for them to get involved with stuff. It's crazy. Out of all the managers, they have like 10 of them. I've only seen maybe one or two that are like seriously working and taking orders and fixing up stuff. The other ones, man, they just sit there. They just sit there, they just hang out. They do not care. I'm very jealous. It's so damn flexible. It's crazy, but because I know it's a manager position, I say, well, I guess it's to be expected. But I'm serious when I tell you that, like, I observe these people and they don't do anything. Because I've had my hours are like after closing as well for like three of them usually per day that I'm there. And I see the managers, they're sitting in at their desk, they're running back and forth, walk here, tell this person do that, go here, tell this person do that. And the only time I've seen them really get involved is if they want to go home and somebody's taking longer than they had hoped for. That's it. Man, being a manager sounds so easy, I'm telling you. Oh, by the way, speaking of the racist coworker, so the big giant one was walked up to me and this guy. We were both doing we were cleaning something together, and she asked him, "Oh, what are what are you gonna do for New Year's Eve?" And he was like, "Oh, I'll probably just go home and eat something." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go and hang out with my with her boyfriend's family." Uh, and I was just again, I'm right. Me and the guy are like I don't want to say shoulder to shoulder, but he's probably a good maybe 10 inches from me. Not like we're pretty close to each other, right? Women will not ask me one question about what I'm doing over the vacation or over, for New Year's Eve or any of that. Like I said, they really think you don't notice that? The complete lack of ability to just speak to you like a human being and ask you something that like even something as casual as like Megumi, you think I'm playing? She acted like I didn't even exist. I'm telling you, these people, they're so transparent about it is what kills me. Like, imagine if you and I'm just gonna throw out somebody's name. Let's say you and Akatsuki merchant come to my no, not even that, because that's like less in person. Let's say I see you and him and you guys are both fixing a car and I'm your manager and I go, "Hey Megumi, what are you gonna do for your for the Christmas break?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm probably just gonna, get some presents and show everybody what I bought them." And then Akatsuki merchant sitting right next to you. I don't ask him one question about, "Hey, so any plans? Are you all right, all right? Hanging out with anybody?" Nothing. They are very subtle about it. I'm telling you, this isn't Jim Crow racism where they would burn a cross in front of your house and call you an N-word and none of that. But it's so much more subtle where when they have to deal with you, they deal with you. When they don't have to deal with you, they act like you don't exist. I told you about this one girl where every time I see her or she speaks to me, it's can you get this? Can you do that? Can you, just look like basically work related stuff, right? But when she goes up to these guys, these uh let's just say guys of other ethnicities, and people really think you don't pick up on this. I'm telling you, man, they're just jerks. And trust me, I know it's not like, oh, this is just the way people act there. It's been the same three bimbos since I got there. The big giant one, the other manager who's like really God, they're I like how they contrast each other visually. You've got the big, huge one and the little skinny one. Um, nice contrast, but they both do like the same thing where they only speak to you when they want you to do some work or whatever, and then they go and giggle with other little buddies. Um, and again, I know that's not how all of the managers act because I've spoken to the various ones and they act pleasant towards me. Like one of the managers always says hello to me when I walk past me, he walks past me. Whatever happened to treating everyone with respect in the workplace, especially your work colleagues? What's up with that? They don't care. They do the bare minimum because look, I couldn't say, "Oh man, I'm mad that my manager didn't ask me how I was doing," because I would look crazy for asking that, right? But in actuality, it really just comes down to they don't care. They do little slick stuff to just not have to deal with you. even if you're acquaintances, they don't care. Again, you notice it because it happens around you, but the rest of them think it's just business as usual because they're not the ones being discriminated against. But trust me, the other blacks that work there do pick up on it. So whatever. People want to act like you don't exist unless they want you to do some work. Okay. Dude, that's how I knew it wasn't just me because it's like I spoke to the other ones there. I was like, hey, does this person ever say hello to you? Oh, interesting. Are they ever like outwardly pleasant? Do they ask you how you're doing? Not once. I'm telling you, that lady acts like I am just the biggest pain in her, and they have, and she acted that way from before I even started working there. The first time I came for an interview, I was interviewed by this other guy that works there, one of the managers, and it was, I think it was her that like they give like a cup to people that come for an interview, and she just seems so annoyed, like irritated. God, just like, and how's that one song go? Hated you from hello. That's that's her. Seriously, I've always known it may be difficult to be in the workplace, and the people that they're genuinely ask how you're doing or have a small dive with you since you're working together. And I'm telling you, man, every job I've ever been to, I've always tried to act at the very least courteous towards all the people that were there. Um, at some jobs, there's been a person I don't like, right? There's been like I told you, you remember the speed obsession with that one crazy woman that acted like she was my manager and you should be done, right? But I tried to act courteous towards the people that are there. If there's someone that I don't really want to talk to or deal with, it's usually because of an inciting incident, like when that woman did that. With these broads, you don't. I, I'm not kidding. I haven't done anything to them, and they act like this, and they act like this towards some of the other people that work there too. So it really does just come down to, my unpopular color. Think I'm playing, man. I sit back and I always try to act decent towards the people that work with me. They also do this with some other people as well. Yes, I spoke to at least two of them. They have about five or six blacks that work there, and they said the same thing about the same like group of them. So again, this is the new discriminatory measures where they're not like really that outward with it, but it's very obvious when you just kind of sit back and think about it and notice how they talk to these people and how they talk to others. Oh, by the way, my favorite thing was that they have this one guy that works there, and I I'm telling you, this job can be so aggravating. So they have this thing where they'll they'll want you to restock their food, and when they do these restocks, right, it's like six big boxes. These boxes are probably like this large, like this big, right? Um, I did this one time and absolutely hated it because when I went into the freezer, it's really cold in there and you'll have a jacket. And also, they have this stuff like blocking the area, so it's hard to get in there, right? And they have me doing this one task. I think it was on Wednesday or whichever earlier this week, right? And this guy, he's not a manager, so it's that same thing of like everyone thinks they're the manager. He runs past me. He's like, "Hey, Justin, can I get a restock that?" And I'm thinking to myself, how insane do you have to be to make a pretty big request like, "Hey, drop what you're doing and go do this thing for me." And you can't even come up to the person that you're asking to do something for you. 'Cause, if I wanted somebody to, if I'm not even like as a manager, but just let's say I call myself being in charge of somebody else. I go up to him and say, hey, can you get this for me? We're out of this, whatever. That's what the other guy who asked me to do that did the previous time I did it. Um, this guy just like runs past me, like runs to another section of the store and like shouts this out in this like quick break. And I just thought it was really rude. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna fix him. I'm not going to move 1 inch until he comes and directly, right, stops what he's doing because he wants me to stop what I'm doing, stops what he's doing, and speaks to me. So guess what? About 10 minutes, 20 minutes pass. Hey, just what happened to that restock? I was like, when did you ask for that? I didn't see you. He's like, oh, can I get it? I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. But you see how because of the way that he asked me, he couldn't say, "Oh, I came up no, you ran past while shouting something like a crazy person, in my opinion, and then expect me to just drop what I was doing for the sake of getting you the thing that honestly, you could get for yourself, right?" So I went over there, I put the stuff in, and my only real yeah, exactly. My only real aggravation with doing it is that they have this thing at that place. You could say they're understaffed. It is weird. And listen, no manager, like no actual manager would act like that. That's that guy's like eccentric, weird stuff that he does. Because I've had managers, they come up and they say, "Hey, I need you to do this." They don't run past you. Hey, Megumi, can you go get this for me? Oh, thanks. I wish I could have recorded that. It was that's how like weird it was. But the only real like reservation I had about doing it is that when you know what I'm talking about where you when you leave something you're trying to do and then they get mad at you that it's not being done as fast. They wanted me to do this task, so I had to leave it. And then I come back after 30 minutes. I asked the managers, can you put somebody else on here to do it while I'm gone? And they don't get anybody. Um, so when I come back, it's still in the exact same position that it was in. I get to do a little bit more of it, and then about 20-30 minutes later, this guy asked me to help him do a trash withdrawal, which is basically where two people will get all the trash in the store, all the little different bags, whatever, and they'll put it in the back and then they take it out to the dump. And I said to him, I wasn't mad with him. I was like, oh man, this is the second time I've been interrupted trying to finish my task. And he's like, well, that's the manager's fault because they should have had one of those other people doing it. Now he said that he picked me because I'm of one of the larger in terms of height people and whatnot. But you get my point that that's like two interruptions while I'm trying to complete my main task. And then I come back from that, takes probably like 20-30 minutes to take all the stuff and put in the dump. And this I call her the sidekick of that other guy that came earlier. She's like, "Oh, can you do a Gem, that don't ask me that stupid question ever again. I'm not even trying to be funny. I answered that question 15 times and people kept asking it. So if you want my height, you're just gonna have to wait until I'm famous and you can Google it. I'm done answering that. So Megumi, this is the funny part. The sidekick of that guy comes up to me and she goes, "Oh, can we get another restock?" I'm like, I just I just restocked it not even 2 hours ago. Oh, we need more. And then when she sees that I'm kind of like, because again, I've never seen that before where you restock something. And remember, these are big boxes that have multiple of them. It's six of them all together. For them to run out in that short amount of time is insane. So she goes to get this other person, but it's like that's three interruptions. And Megumi, each time I'm interrupted, they don't put anybody else on there. So it just further delays my main task. Damn, so what's happening with your primary task? And like, is anyone covering for you? No. The first time I did a restock, which was about a week or two ago, they put somebody else on there. The times I did stuff earlier this week, they didn't put anyone on there. Even when I went to break, they just let it stack up and pile up, and it was crazy. So when we got to the latter part of the shift and the lady, one of the managers was like, "Oh, can you guys hurry this up?" I'm like, woman, I would have been done if I didn't have 2 interruptions to go do other stuff and nobody covered me. And then when I took my break, which I'm entitled to as someone that works here for 7 or 8 hours a day, nobody was put on here to cover for me for that either. So that's like a whole hour that was just taken away and halting of my progress, which I did not appreciate. But yeah, Jem, don't ever ask me how tall I am ever again. That's the kind of question where you would get banned over it because I'm tired of answering the same questions over and over again just to have people ask the same thing a week later, a month later. It's stupid. One would think one one could think they were planning to delay you or something. That's what it really felt like. Like the second guy that did the trash thing, that was legitimate because as he said, I am one of the bigger people that's there. And I've already told you before, these jobs, what they love doing is hiring like fit like 20, 30 women and then like maybe 5 guys, and they have the guys like doing all the heavy lifting, right? We talked about that before. Um, I remember many guys asking that exact same question. Yeah, and it's a waste of time because every time you answer it, somebody else comes around to ask the same thing again. But that's what kills me. The guy that asked me to do the restock wasn't even a manager. But no, I fixed him. I said, no, I'm gonna wait until he comes back and directly speak. All this little let me run across the store. Hey, can you do this for me? Thanks. I was like, what? I normally don't get that upset over stuff to where like I'm petty enough to just not do something that's asked of me, but I thought that was so annoying and so rude that I was like, no, I'm not moving 1 inch until he comes back and directly stops and speaks to me. So I'll be the first one to tell some manager or person so whatever to go to hell because we already explained before that I even in getting a job, I'll never become so attached to it to where it's like they can just push me around as much as they want and I'll just sit there and put up with it. No, because as I've explained before, these places will get rid of you in a heartbeat. Heck, I got called into the manager's office yesterday and thought I was getting fired until he told me I'd gotten a raise. I was sweating bullets like, oh, here it comes. I did something wrong. I don't know what it was, but I'm ready. When they call you in there and they say close the door, I was like, all right, it's time for me to hang up my hat. We already seen this song before. It's good you did that. That's such an obnoxious way to ask someone of something. And I'm telling you, you would never see an actual manager do that. Even the one that I don't think likes me because of my ethnicity would still come up to you and directly ask, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do that?" They would stop in place and speak to you face to face. They wouldn't, as they're running halfway across the store, "Hey, can you go do this for me? Thanks." So I said, I'm gonna fix him. I'm gonna stand right here and wait until he stops what he's doing and realizes, oh, this person didn't, and he didn't contest the idea that like I didn't hear him. It's easy to not hear somebody if they don't even come up and speak to you. They run past you, call out your name, make some order, and they expect you to just drop what you're doing. Nah, the hell with that. I said, I'm gonna fix him. I'm gonna wait right here in this. I'm not gonna move 1 inch until he comes and stops whatever he's doing and directly addresses me. I mean, I was in no rush to drop what I was doing because I was trying to, finish it. They don't put anybody else on there for some damn reason. But then they get mad at you when they take like you're taking like no, I keep getting delayed too much by this other stuff. That's the actual reason. It's just a sign of basic respect. Dude, you would I couldn't believe it. I was like, these people have lost their minds. They get so used to these work environments being kind of like, free falling, like not really any kind of order to it, that they think they can just scream things from across the room and you're supposed to just be like, "Yes, sir. Okay." So it felt nice to put your foot down with these people. I normally don't do that, but it was very upsetting to have somebody act like that and then expect you to, capitulate to them. Because even if I don't know, I couldn't imagine, like, I've been put in charge of two other people since I started there, and when I'm with these people, I talk to them, I speak directly to them. I don't run like while I'm running across the room, yell something for them to do. It's tacky. That's why I said I'm done with like there was another guy up there one day. I remember he had I had thought we were on good terms, but he had said something to the effect, because it was like late at night and I made some joke and he was like, "You know what? I don't feel like dealing with you today," or something. And I was thinking to myself, how is it that, hold on. Here. Um Bio break. That's actually a nice chair. Looks like a captain. It took you that long to know. Dude, I've had this same chair for a year. The joys of not living by yourself, such an annoyance I can imagine. Um, yeah, she wanted me to lift something for her, and I don't my thing is, if it's not that heavy, I don't understand why I need to be involved. Like there are some things that I can understand, like, oh man, this is just too much, right? Um, Like, I used to lift stuff with my grandma, for example, all the time because she just couldn't lift it, but this is a well-bodied you know what I'm talking about, like, that person could lift that, they just, I think it was just pure laziness personally. Oh, and they tried to insult me because I was like, I'm doing a stream. They're like, oh, you're talking to random people. You don't even know. I was like, well, you do the same thing when you're on, to Facebook and Instagram and all these other websites with a bunch of strangers. So you're not exactly in a position to be critiquing someone for speaking to strangers. It's actually kind of funny. They met one of their partners through Facebook and like I like literally total stranger on there when they met him, but whatever. Everybody wants to be so judgmental when they themselves are in no position to be judging anybody, ironically enough. Oh, Megumi, the joy of not living by myself. I actually I'm about 90% sure if I can save up enough money between now and probably like May or April, I should be able to finally achieve the goal of just being alone. I think that's within my grasp now. There have been some circumstances that have changed in the last like 2 or 3 months. Mm. Megumi, you weren't here for it, but Jem was like, "Are those your shoes?" I was like, "Dude, I haven't bought a pair of shoes in over a year." I told him I have not counting my work shoes, which were like $20 on Amazon. I have two pairs of shoes. I have these and these. That's it. Like that, I just thought that was hilarious. No, because I already explained to you, Megumi, like throughout this whole year, it was me like penny crunching, like, okay, I got enough for food for this, for gas for that. The idea of me just going out and just buying clothes every week is it's hilarious. Pique their interest, I guess. Yeah, but it's like, I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious. I don't care about that type of stuff. It doesn't matter to me. I have way more books than clothes. Trust me. No, there. I just thought it was comical. Like, are those yours? No, they're not. Not even close. If I put those up against my foot, they wouldn't come anywhere around being able to fit me. That was actually the funniest thing when I went and ordered the work shoes. Um, I started to kind of get a little confused, and I saw the different size charts, and that's when it occurred to me. It had been so long since I even bought a damn pair of shoes. I forgot my own shoe size. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm this size." Now I remember. That's how much time had eclipsed and passed without me getting a new set. No, the only thing that would make me want to cut off the stream at this point is just I'm just really hungry. I'll put this thing in the microwave. Hey, can you go give me a restock? Thanks. God, what an obnoxious like. I just love how people are so like casually rude. Like they don't even care if they speak directly to you. I have two siblings that are obsessed with trainers. Well, I feel bad for you. You have my condolences. I'm sure they're very lovely people otherwise, but that doesn't sound too appealing. I'm not even kidding. Sometimes people do things where you're just like, what? This doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no logic to it. But Gumi, I want to ask you, if you were an actor and you got to appear in two blockbuster films within 1 year, I don't know why I did two fingers, and one of them was such a golden ticket for even more money that they were like, yeah, you're going to be our new main villain. You're going to be our new main big bad for the next couple of movies. Would you throw or risk throwing all of that away because you want to put your hands on your girlfriend? I just want to know, would you, if you were an actor and you were in two blockbuster films this year, and one of them was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna use you for even more." Would you just throw your whole career away to beat up somebody? Maybe they are just very used to being casually rude to others and have been pulled up about it before, and never have been pulled up about it before. Oh, I absolutely believe that, because a lot of those people are really friendly with each other to where they kind of feel like they can just do whatever they want. Um, I'll never forget how one of them, how the big giant one, she mentioned to one of the guys that they were looking on the security camera and they saw him like staring at his phone, and then he turned and looked at the camera and they started laughing because they almost like, it almost felt as if he could hear them through the camera, like, or tell through the camera that they were watching it. No, certainly not worth it. That's what happened with Jonathan Majors. That guy was supposed to be the new Marvel huge villain playing Kang, and dude, they went all in on that guy because in Ant-Man 3, the post-credit scene shows all these different versions. You know, like in No Way Home, there's different versions of Spider-Man. They have all these different versions of Kang, and they're all played by the same actor. And you know what that tells you, right? That even if they did kill him in like a movie or a show, they're just gonna bring him back, play by the same actor, like nothing happened. Like that's how committed they were to him, right? He got in his trial right after the guilty verdict dropped. Like, I'm not even kidding. Within the hour, they announced he was terminated. And Avengers 5 was called Kang Dynasty. So now they have no Kang, and now Kang Dynasty is like on ice, I guess. Jim talking about he would have multiple female friends. Hey, more women, more problems. Like, people think they're players, but the more chicks you get around, the more chances there are for them to ruin your life. Very unfortunate turn of events. Dude, I just think it's so crazy that you could have that much career success in such like a short amount of time and just blow all of it up for the sake of this thing with this woman. Like, for at this point, it's not unreasonable to say that he killed his career. Maybe he'll get to be in some lower budget thing, but that's a major setback. Oh, and honestly, I'll be more than content with you. Well, that's my point. That like I'm telling you, I don't know what dream world Jem lives in, but all some men want is just a partner, not a harem, not a club of chicks all bouncing around him. Just one woman who you date, you enjoy interacting with, so you can get married to, and then whatever happens after that is pleasant as well. But when you're talking to someone like Jem, who thinks he's, from out of The Godfather or something, he's like, "Hey, I have my 8 women waiting in the back row." Like, come on, man. So like, people come online, they don't even act like human beings. They start saying stuff about multiple female friends. Man, come on. Because the guys I know in real life that have a woman only have a woman. They don't have harems. You know what I mean? Like even the ones that have been able to get more successful with this romance trash than me, they're still not just like bathing in broads and other garbage. They're with somebody and that's it. Man, I'm telling you, Majors blew up his whole life. Like that man destroyed his career all over a woman. And it's really sad. It's sad that he did it to himself, but it's even sadder that it's like here was this upcoming talent. He had risen from poverty to become a successful actor, and then he just destroys his whole career for the sake of getting into whatever with that woman. I think it's really sad. Dude, Marvel is they were kicking themselves like that's honestly probably the most tragic thing that's happened to them that was out of their control since Black Panther died. Like that's probably the worst thing they've had happen to them casting related where it's like, "Oh, damn, what are we going to do now?" Let me see here. I see that Jem ran away. He went to go and talk to his 15 women. You can fill in. I wouldn't have the time or even the desire to do that. I'm not even an actor. I've explained that before. The only acting I would ever participate in and like actually try it in any serious way would be voice acting because voice actors go into a booth, they record some lines, they show emotion, right? Maybe they put on some type of particular voice. Um, but they don't have to like fly to Australia or Canada or some other country to sit in a desert or in a bar or some other place and be committed to this one project indefinitely in both body and mind for however many months that it takes to film it and do all the rest of that stuff and then go around promoting it. So you wouldn't see me as someone trying to. I actually can see myself being a voice actor as well. Well, voice acting I just think it's naturally more appealing for people that don't want to go all in on the actor stuff because you just go in a booth, you emote, whether you're doing a goofy voice or not, and that's it. No, that's the only type of acting I would pursue with any seriousness. Maybe on a really low budget, I would try to do a movie, like a live action one. Um, but I would have to make sure it wouldn't cost me some pretty penny or anything. It would just be like a thing where it could be created, it could come out, and it could just be whatever. Dude, voice acting, I've actually heard it's harder than regular acting because at least when you're in front of a camera, you can like make faces and emote with your body language or whatever. When you're a voice actor, all of your emotion that that you put out comes from you speaking. Now Jem is over here trolling, talking about I can fill in. I have no acting experience whatsoever. Now, if they want me to voice Kang in a video game, maybe, but not play him, no. Jem loves to troll. He loves to come on here and mess with me. No, but probably between tomorrow and Friday, I'll try to go up to the Secretary of State's office for that to see about that ballot access because the lady told me back I think it was the year before last that they should have the paperwork that people sign, the signature papers. They should be available in January of the election year, so I'll look into that. Just wanted to give you an update, Jem, because I know you've been curious. I'm telling you, I'll never understand why anybody. I think I've seen before, but like if you're a male and you want to be an actor, there's like a lot more rewards and a much longer duration than if you're a woman. With women, I'm not kidding. Once they hit like 40, the roles they get and their opportunities become very, very limited in general, most of them anyway. Not all of them. There are some exceptions, but it's crazy to me how like when they're young, so much stuff just thrown their way, but when they hit like middle age, which isn't even that old, it's just, whatever. Um, they don't get anywhere near the same opportunity. So you better go ahead and appear in everything you want to be in those in that 15 years, because after that, somebody made a really good point. They said when you watch films, you see older men in roles all the time, but when you watch movies, do you see older women that often, like in big roles or like you know anything that's like remotely starring or supporting? Maybe they have a cameo. It's really rare. Just feel so bad for Jem. He wants to come online and act like he's got this big harem of women that are just chasing after him, but we all know the truth. We all know he hasn't bothered with any of them. That's an interesting point you make there. It's true that a lot of actresses, when they start out, they're offered many roles, and then by the time they get to their late 30s to early 40s, it just fizzles out. Like I can give you multiple examples of actresses where they just stopped acting altogether because they were barely getting any roles or just not having anything offered their way. Now, when it comes to TV, there's plenty more roles for women than there are in movies. That's why you'll have some actresses, they've been in like 10 different shows, 15 different shows, but then only maybe like 5 movies in their entire career because it's just much harder to get in Hollywood the older you are, especially if you're a woman. Now, men, I mean, we don't even have to like I don't even want to bother listing roles, but you already know you have like older men that have no problem getting put in films throughout their entire life. Um Off the top of my head, somebody like Patrick Stewart, whether he's 80 or 90, he can always go back and play Professor X. Did it just as recently as last year. Um, I mean, I'm just saying that it's much easier for men to stick around, especially if they are iconic. Dude, I'm telling you, like if you look at men's filmographies in comparison with women's filmographies, you'll see the night and day difference. Not even just Morgan Freeman. I mean, we can go down the list. Sam Jackson is over 70 years old, and he's got no shortage of roles coming in. He was even in that horrible The Marvels movie. I mean, hey, before Will Smith blew up his career by punching Chris Rock over a joke, he was another one that showed no signs of stopping. So they're men pretty much for their entire like from when they're young all the way up until damn near they're in the grave, they can get roles. But with women, it's a much thinner, and there are some that are able to dodge it. There are a few that have been able to stick around. Yeah, Christopher Lloyd as well. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not hard for men to just keep getting roles no matter how old they get. With women, it their ability to get put into major things really fizzles out once they get past their like mid 30s. After that, it just there's a couple that can still chart the course, still show up here and there, but it's not that often and that they're able to do that. Dude, the crazy part is like a lot of times you have genre figures, like people who are well known for being in certain types of stuff, but then when they try to be in something else, it's like very rarely are they able to actually break out into it. Um, that's why like you have a lot of black actors that American blacks know and are very familiar with. But then if you go up to like like a regular old oh, it is typecasting. But I'm saying if you go like they're known within the black community for just being in various works that are done by other African Americans. But if you go to your regular average Caucasian movie viewer, they have no idea who these people are. I mean, honestly, like I hate to say it, but a lot of whites did not really know Angela Bassett until she was in Black Panther, which is really a shame because she had been, been acting for over 30 years at that point. That's another one of the few people that's been able to like stick around despite hitting past the 30 or 40. Well, you know what it is? They're just like with Bassett, if you look at her career, she was in Notorious, right? That was about Biggie, who was a black rapper. So a lot of blacks would have seen that. Um, I think there was a biographical film about Coretta Scott King and Betty Shabazz that she was in, which would have been seen by a lot of blacks. Yeah, she is a classy lady, but I'm just making the point that it's really not hard to see where someone who's been around as long as she has still was not that well known to general film goers until just a few years ago. Because most of the stuff she was in up to that point, besides something horrible like Green Lantern from 2011, really was not, you know, digested by audiences of other ethnicities. I'm telling you, man, Hollywood is so interesting. Like when you just look at it from like externally, because it's like you have all these actresses, and again, when they're in their 20s and 30s, they feel like they're on top of the world. But when they get to 35 and 40, their ability to get roles tanks. It goes down like this. It's just like a steep decline. It has nothing to do with anybody's talent or ability. It's just the nature of Hollywood. They like young women and men of all ages. Little boys, teenage boys, young adult men, middle-aged adult men, old adult men. But for women, they either want young girls, little girls for roles of daughters or whatever, and women that are because I mean, you know how it is, right? With women, a big chunk of being an actress is just physical attractiveness. So it's like perceived that if a woman is past 30 something or 40 something, she's hit her prime years as a I mean, look, it's all based on chauvinist crap that has really nothing to do with talent. But you get the idea, right? That it is very interesting and it's something that we can prove with both empirical data and with anecdotal stories of actresses that have noticed as time has gone on, it's harder for them to get roles. Few grandmother roles. Um, yeah, that's why I was so happy that Bassett, got what she did with Black Panther, because it's like you're in your 60s and you're still getting, you're like you're in this major blockbuster series that shows no signs of stuff, even though they really upset me with her role in the second one because they gave her more to do. But then, well, I'm not going to spoil it because I know Megumi hasn't seen it, but uh, I was happy that she got that because she'd been in stuff for so long, just getting ignored by Hollywood, and then finally gets like a leading type role in a major uh, production that was seen by hundreds of millions of people. Dude, I'm telling you, Hollywood is so sexist. Like, and it's really scary when you think that if you're a female, you really do just get this like maybe 15-year period where you're just on top of the world, and then it just starts declining more and more. We need more black producers. I mean, I guess. I just think Hollywood is not a place that I would want to step anywhere near in most circumstances. As far as like I physically can go there because it's close to where I live, but as far as trying to make it and appear in films and all the rest of that, I don't think I would bother with it. Oh, majority are white. Oh, of course. Does that shocks you? The only field where blacks have a plurality is like sports in terms of entertainment. Like it's sports and like the genre of music that is rapping where blacks are dominant. Everywhere else, it's more mixed or otherwise led by whites. That's not surprising. I mean, that's very obvious for sure. I mean, hey, you look at all these different major blockbuster movies, you might have like one or two people of minority and then the rest are white. I remember being on a forum back in like 2015, and there was a guy that was trying to tell me that um blockbuster movies that have blacks as the lead do not do successful financially. This before Black Panther came out. It made over $1 billion. But that's why I said like there's this stigma where if you're making or doing something that has to do with African Americans or people of minority in the lead role or the leading role, it will be less successful automatically than something starring whites. Uh, and this is a mindset that I don't think it necessarily has no basis in fact, but it really causes those studios to play it safe. They're like, okay, we gotta make sure you get your one black person in the corner. We talked about before, like studios they have billions of dollars and they're still cowards. Like we mentioned that when they did Star Wars Episode 7, they took the leading black actor of that movie, John Boyega, and shrank him on the Chinese poster. When they put out Black Panther in, I think it was China, they put because his mask is like off in the posters, they put a mask on him so you wouldn't know what his race was, I guess. It's just funny, they have all this money and they're so cowardly. Could you imagine being the star of a movie that makes $1 billion and you don't even get to have your face on the poster in one of the biggest countries, period, because they're convinced that they're going to be turned off by seeing someone of your unpopular color? of your complexion in the lead role. Like they'll like, think about this when they do these horrible Transformer movies, they don't put a poster cover up anyone's face in that. So the robots can be all naked and shown off, but the black person, they have to hide their face for the Chinese audience. Dude, you should look at the size comparisons between the Force Awakens poster in America and China. They you would have thought like his character, his power in that movie was shrinking, like was turning, like he was really smaller. He could like sit on somebody's shoulder. God, that was awful. And they didn't think anything of it. They're like, whatever. Oh, we have a black person in lead role. Let's just chop them down to size. Let's cover their face up. Let's barely have them on the poster. I don't know how anyone still supports Disney after that. Because it's like when they're at home, they make it sound like, oh, we love inclusivity. We love all the blacks and browns and all the other ethnic groups. Oh, we're all so friendly towards you. Oh, we have to put this movie out in China. Well, let's cover your face up and shrink you on the poster. Those are your allies. Also, they killed the romance. What romance? Oh, you mean for episode 9 where they cut out that scene of the two women kissing that was in the movie for like less than 3 seconds? I always thought blacks have gotten the worst treatment of any other ethnic group. Well, I know you're not into history, but and I try to oh no, there was no romance gem. That was an idea that was not touched on at all in the actual films. There's no deleted scenes of that. So when you say they cut it out, I thought you were saying like they trimmed it out of the movie because in Black Panther 2 there is I think a lesbian kiss. I think because it happens so quick, right? But they cut it out for the Chinese audience because they didn't, that's like frowned. They cut it out for some country. I'm forgetting which one it was, but that was removed. Um, like black characters in general getting killed off in the most just devastating, brutal ways, for example. Yeah, I mean, dude, the worst part is even if they don't get killed off, they get misused. Like, I know you haven't seen the MCU, but War Machine is basically Iron Man's sidekick. Um, I think he's a good character. That character has been in at least 6 or 7 different movies, and he has never once, outside of maybe the second film he was in, been the central focus of any of them. And it took Disney up until they said they're going to do Armor Wars, whatever. Basically, it took them over 10 years to even hint that they're going to give this character the focus that he really should be have gotten a long time ago after being like this character's been in the MCU since it started. But guess what? The black superhero, we let him just sit in the background, whatever, playing second fiddle forever, just there to get injured and upset the white characters. We don't care about the killing off. It's the opportunity to act without people getting bent out of shape, but getting upset about a black dwarf. Between Ray and Boyega. I like how you call her character by her name, but his matters so little. You're like, whatever. Let me just call an actor by his name. I'm telling you, man. you watch some of these series and you see how when even when the blacks are able to like stick around and still technically be in the story, they are second fiddle. Black actors are heavily criticized. Oh, of course. That's why when they did that recast T'Challa movement, I was like, why do you want to have a new guy play that character who we already know some segment of you, maybe it's not everybody, maybe it's not most, some segment of you is going to talk trash about. He thinks he's as good as Chadwick. Like, come on, why you want to put somebody through that? Now you remember that the recast T'Challa movement where it's like, oh man, this actor tragically passed away. Let's have some new person play his character so we can talk trash about them for the next 10 years. Yay. That was the funniest thing. They were all talking about boycotting Black Panther 2 and uh we're not watching this without T'Challa. And then it still made 800 million. I say we were and act our own stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm not against doing one movie, one low budget film with the like where you write a story based around what's available to you because that's really how films should be made instead of spending millions and hundreds of millions of dollars on this stuff. Um I don't know. I would have to come up with a story. And then obviously you have to get the cameras and you know, yes, agreed. Well, you know what I'm saying? That like you could do a movie and just have it be set in 3 bedrooms. I mean, there's nothing that says you have to have these big giant set pieces. And even when you have a set piece, like, oh, here's this parking lot I'm filming in, it's like that could just be someone hanging out there when they get the press. You can write around it. You can plenty of I'm not even saying anything about blacks and that. I'm just saying in general, like you can make a film that doesn't cost you anything by just writing with the stuff that you have and what tools are available to you. I'm going to make your story. No, you're not making anything. You made one ridiculous question earlier, so I don't even want to hear from you now. Ask me how tall I am. And it's like you asked me that question after all these years of people asking me that question. Was Ant-Man 3 any good? Well, there were parts of it that I did enjoy. I like seeing an older version of his daughter. And I do think I don't like that actress as much as the one they had for Endgame because I don't think she was able to convey as much emotion. Um, but in general, I would probably just recommend skipping it, especially now that we know the main villain is not going to end up being the main villain of the whole universe. It's something I probably won't watch again. I watched it twice. Um, it it really bundled Kang's introduction, and the best parts of it to me probably were the performances by Paul Rudd, the lead actor, because he's funny, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Uh, but besides that, I wouldn't bother with it. If they do a fourth one, I'll be very surprised after a dud like that. And man, I'm telling you, I was the main guy trying to stick up for Marvel when people were talking trash about they all love No Way Home, but like when they were talking trash about Black Panther 2, I say yeah, I liked it. It was a nice somber story. It had some jokes in it, but for the most part, it took itself seriously, which I do appreciate because I'm getting kind of tired of all this humor. And, I thought Thor 4 was a fun little, fun, goofy movie. If they do that, they should make a remake Spider-Man 4. I don't know. Sony's too busy making stuff that nobody wants. So Instead of Raimi Spider-Man 4, you're gonna get Madam Web and Venom 3, and well, I guess some people want Venom 3, but you're gonna get Madam Web and Craven and Venom 3, and yeah, you'll get those first. This is the weirdest cinematic universe I've ever seen. I'm sick of the toxic criticism. Gosh, I forget forget Madam Web. Dude, I heard it's a Terminator ripoff. That it's going to be because it's supposed to be an old lady in a chair, right? It's going to be her as like a younger version trying to stop uh Peter's parents from being killed before he's born or some kind of it. Imagine adapting comics that were brimming with originality, and you have to steal the plot of a movie from from 40 years ago. Almost I said almost. No, it was 40 years ago, 84. Dude, I will be very surprised if any of those films do well, except for maybe Venom 3. I think it's going to be another year of bombs. The only ones that'll do okay this year are Venom 3 and Deadpool 3. Do you think many people would say you're negative about that? No, I'm looking at a statistical pattern. These films are not doing like listen, I know you probably don't get it, but the MCU used to be the gold standards. When Avengers came out and everybody freaked out because you had this big huge team up. Never happened before in all the superhero movies up to that point. They started to achieve not even just financial stability, financial excellence. You know, they put out Iron Man 3 the year after. Some people don't like it, whatever, makes $1 billion. They put out Thor Ragnarok, makes $1 billion. Civil War, $1 billion. Infinity War, $1 billion. Endgame, I think $2 billion. So when a series that went from having multiple movies that broke box office records year after year can't even break even with the newest film that came out, there's no hope for that Sony stuff. Because guess what they did? They probably spent 100 million or 200 million on the budget, which means it's going to have to make back at least 400 or 500 million to break even. And it's not going to make anywhere near that money. And you know it's not going to make anywhere near that money because the series that has been destroying it for years is not making that money anymore. The only MCU movie that came out this year last year out of the three of them that came out that did good was Guardians 3. And Guardians 3 is Guardians the finale. So there's not going to be any more Guardians. And the guy who directed it is now going to be working for the rival company. So that was not a victory for them. Just like with Deadpool 3, it's like that's Fox. Fox started Deadpool. If that movie does good, that doesn't prove the MCU is bad. No. So you can look at these patterns and you can make really reasonable inferences. Like I said, man, you go back to that period from 2012 to 18, 19, the MCU was killing it. Every year, it seemed like they had $1 billion movie. All the ones I just mentioned all made $1 billion. And now, the movie that introduced their main villain, Ant-Man 3, couldn't even make 500 million. Even half of that. Yeah, they peaked. The only movie they have released that's been able to do slightly like what they used to be able to do since Endgame was No Way Home. And you know why No Way Home did as good as it did. You got the nostalgia running, all these classic villains from the Raimi era, along with, you know, the return of Maguire himself. I mean, that was still like not even that great of a success for Marvel because they worked with Sony and they had to lift characters from another. That was the funniest to me for the MCU to have another good villain after Thanos. They had to steal a villain from a movie series that came out before the MCU even existed. Man, they wasted the Goblin. If they never bring him back after No Way Home, that they wasted him. Because having him take out Aunt May was like the perfect beginning of a rivalry with Spider-Man. So to just send him back like that, I just thought was dumb. But they have a few more years; they can correct their mistake, or maybe they have some plan I don't know about. I don't know, dude. I'm telling you, this superhero films are on their way out. The fact that Barbie did better than all those movies, like some of them combined. I know you didn't see it, but Doctor Strange 2 did pretty well as well. It made, I think, 900 million. It actually it beat out Spider-Man 3 as Raimi's highest grossing movie from what I remember. Not Black Panther, Doctor Strange 2. I'm getting everything mixed up, all these sequels. But you get the point that when you look at how bad Marvel's doing now, what hope is there for Sony? The only movie Sony ever put out from their stupid cinematic universe of Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man that did good was Venom, and that's because a lot of people were tricked into thinking it was an MCU movie. It did not deserve 800 million uh, at all. It was okay, and sure enough, when the amount of money it made decreased, look, Jim, don't sit over here and act like you don't love Marvel. Come on, you love the white cast. I already tell you, Marvel was smart. They would be pushing X-Men and Fantastic Four, Spider-Man and Hulk as much as they could, but they're not. So they want to make stuff nobody cares about. I'm telling you, if this was Marvel back in like the early 2000s, we need more Storm. Well, we would get more Storm if they would actually. I don't know what they're gonna do with X-Men. Like they're bringing back the Fox versions, which I really don't want to see again. Um, I'm gonna spoil the post-credit scene for you for the Marvels. One of the characters ends up in an alternate universe where she meets Beast from the X-Men trilogy, so the Kelsey Grammer version, with like the worst CGI I've ever seen. But I don't know what Marvel's gonna do with X-Men. They're not being very descriptive. We know that we're getting Fantastic Four next year, but I don't know what's gonna happen with X-Men. It's all up in the air. I tell you, that's the one superhero series where I'm like, reboot it, start over, begin again. I'm still laughing at my friend. He asked me who would win in the fight, the Avengers or the X-Men. I said, dude, there's already an Avengers versus X-Men crossover. Go read that. I'm not gonna summarize that whole story for you. Are you kidding me? I like when somebody asks you a random question like that and they don't even they're so like ignorant of comics that they don't even know their dream fight has already happened 10 years earlier. What about the Fantastic Four? We're getting Fantastic Four next year. We just don't know that much about it. One of the theories right now is that they're going to introduce Doctor Doom in that, which hopefully, I mean, you would think they would. That's their arch enemy, and then he'll be the villain for Avengers 5. Jim, what would happen if Superman died? He already did. They had a whole big giant story in the 90s, Death of Superman. That's old news. What would happen if Captain America died? He already did at the end of Civil War. If you want to read the fallout of his death, you can go read that stuff that was published back in 2009. We don't need to tread old waters. A lot of people are ignorant like that. They'll ask their other friend who they know are into that stuff, and try to get their answer or summary that way. Yeah, and it's really lazy. Like, even if you didn't want to read the comic, you could still read a plot summary. I don't know why it's my job to explain to somebody what happened in a story, a story that they can read for free. They can go on on some website, free comic site, and then there you go. It's all there. You don't have to get a subscription. You don't have none of that. It's all right there available for you. People are just too damn lazy, man. Oh, it's very lazy. Oh, I'm still laughing at Megumi when he was like, apparently there's a female Hulk now. I was like, no, She-Hulk's been around for a long time, since the 70s. She actually was the last character that Stan Lee created for Marvel. I feel the same way about her that I feel about Supergirl, where they get like a crappy TV show that doesn't really do the character any justice. And a lot of people think they're dumb from that dumb show, but the actual comic character is pretty good. Honestly, I probably like Supergirl more than Superman. But let me shut up. That's too controversial. You're gonna have somebody fight you over that one. Yeah, because her whole thing is that she didn't grow up in a civilized society of Earth, so she's much more like prone to aggression and breaking stuff, and she's like Superman but more wild and without any kind of care or concern about like trying to adhere to society's customs. And that was completely lost on that stupid CW show. They got an actress that looks like Supergirl, but a character that acts nothing like her with a dumb secret identity. I want to vomit. No, I think she's a great character. I just wish that she was better handled outside of the comics. I'm sure you had a lot to say about her costume as well, right? Oh, the costume for yeah, you're probably thinking about the Supergirl from Flash. The costume in that movie was horrible. That looked like something a man would wear. Like, that's why I tell you, all these different Hollywood studios, they take attractive women and they just put a damn potato chip bag over them. It's crazy. Because the actress who plays her isn't unattractive or ugly. This lady has long flowing hair. And what do they do in the movie? They cut it short, right? Like, then they give her this outfit where it's like a blue bodysuit with some red at the top. Like, man, this is so lame. It's just nuts, man. They always make like I'm tired of it. Just like I told you, Carol Danvers 15 years ago was hot when she was Miss Marvel. She had the long flowing blonde hair with the black leotard and the red sash and the thigh high boots and the gloves that went from here, smoking hot. And then when they made her Captain Marvel, they give her a man's haircut. They cover her from head to toe. Ugh, dude, like, I'm sick of that. You know, the Japanese wouldn't do. Oh no, absolutely not. Japanese they're always ready to expose something. I'm not even asking for every character, like every female to just like have exposed stuff. Cause like I always like Batgirl and she always was like covered head to toe, right? Didn't matter to me. But it's like all the ones where they show off just a little bit of skin, they try to cover it up for these stupid movies and for these modern comics. So they tried to give Wonder Woman pants multiple times. And every time they did it, people complained, said, "Hey, can you just have her wear the undies or whatever, or the trunks, whatever you want to call them?" And they go back to it. I'll never forget when the New 52, that was when DC relaunched all their comics at issue number 1. When the New 52 was coming out, they had like this image that Jim Lee drew of the new Justice League, and Wonder Woman was wearing these blue pants, and everybody was like, "What in the world?" And sure enough, when the actual comic came out, Justice League number 1, they had her right back to her underwear. Well, I wants to see that. They cover up every other damn thing. Let us have some legs. Show me the legs. No, I'm telling you, Miss Marvel used to be so hot, and they just ruined her. Captain Marvel, man. If I could go back in time and reverse one decision that was made in comics, it would be the creation of Captain Marvel. They should have just kept Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel and went on from there. But they're stupid like that. They got everybody has to have to look. All the females have to be covered head to toe with short men type haircuts. I'm sick of it. I'm telling you, I feel so repressed. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't get anything from these chicks, like from the actual chicks, right? And then it's gotten so bad that even when you just want to look at some drawn chicks, the comic company is like, no, this will be covered up. This will be not censored, but this will not be shown to you as much as it has been. Like, oh my god, you can't have anything. Oh wow. Oh, dude, don't go there. It'll be too much to take in. It's the truth. Like you can't have anything. They like it's one thing to just get nothing from real life chicks, but then even when you just want to read a story where there's like a woman in a bathing suit, you've got like a company. It's like, oh, we need to put her in a full body outfit. So tired of these adaptations, man. It probably is too much to take in, but it is the truth. Like these studios are dead set on the whole like, you know, I don't even know how to describe it. Just a total like unwillingness to let us have anything to look at. It's crazy. Oh, Jim, the next documentary probably will come out. How much more of that do I have in there? That script's like 9 pages, so it's almost done. I think I'll give me until probably halfway through month, like the 15th, because the job is like the main thing that stops me from doing a lot of the edited stuff. So just give me until then. Let me see here. Yeah, I think this will be wrapped up by probably midway through the month at the latest. It was just hard to record stuff last night because people were blowing fireworks and making all the little noise they make whenever we have these holidays. No, I'm done with all the studios and all the productions. I'm finished with them because every time you think that they're gonna change stuff and learn their lesson, they don't. Marvel's gonna keep doubling down on the stuff that nobody cares about. Like I remember the discourse around Captain Marvel from 2019, and everybody talking about how crappy that character was. Like actual fans talking about how crappy that character was, and I was like, okay, they're gonna retire her because they haven't used her in any major role in 4 years, right? But no, they brought her back. The movie did even because this time there was no Avengers movie to hide behind, right? So people weren't tricked and thinking, oh, I have to watch this to know what happens in something else. No, so just the sheer character by herself. You would never see a Spider-Man movie only make 200, like a live action Spider-Man movie only make $200 million. You would never see that. Just a complete embarrassment. Dude, I'm never gonna get over the shock of like, oh yeah, they thought they were untouchable. They thought they were making so much money. Got you. You're wondering like who even because I don't. This is probably the first one where I don't think I know anyone out of the people I speak to in real life and online that went and saw it. Anyone I know personally that went and saw that. That's really crazy to think about. Like it's a complete snooze fest, man. I almost want to get a ticket to the Marvels just to see how like empty the theater is. Because like there's no way that thing is playing to full packed crowds making that type of box office. Telling you, there is no way in the world that that film is doing any amounts of money anywhere. And I'm glad Aquaman 2 did better. Even if it's probably going to flop as well, I'm glad it's doing better. It made in 2 weeks what the Marvels made in 2 months. If there is one movie I am wanting to see this year, it would be the next Sonic movie. I'm still mad at you for trying to say Amy won't be in it. Like, there's no way they would skip over her. Like, no, I'm not buying it. I could see them skipping over Metal Sonic, but we're really gonna get a trilogy where they adapt Sonic Adventure 2 and don't have Amy in there. Like even in not being playable in that game, she's still important to its story. So to just completely cut her out and adapt something that introduces Shadow, I don't think makes any sense. But I guess we'll find out as we get closer to it. I gotta run. See you on Saturday. You said she you on Saturday. Oh, I'm gonna be a female on Saturday. I'm gonna be another gender. You're gonna meet a variant of me. She you on Saturday. What I this is my theory. I think they know that Shadow's more popular and like gets more people excited, so they put him in the teaser. But that she'll probably I just don't buy that she won't be in that film. I can't subscribe to that. I do have to admit they did surprise me. I didn't think you'd go from adapting Sonic 2 and 3 to just like, oh yeah, Adventure 2. Like, damn. Yeah, sorry, man. I really am not sure if Amy will make an appearance in it. Well, if she doesn't make an appearance, I'll blame you. I'll say you wished her nothing but ill will. Too much hype around Shadow, but who knows? You know, it would be the funniest thing if Shadow was a fake out. Like they do Sonic 3 and it's an adaptation of Adventure. So you got Big the Cat and Gamma and or whatever. And then in the post-credit scene for 3, Shadow's still like sitting up in that in that container. Could you imagine if like that was the trick they pulled on us? They're like, oh yeah, you're gonna get Shadow eventually. Hedgehogs, give me more in Sonic 4. That would be you have to admit that would be funny if Shadow was a fake out, like he's in 3, but he's just sitting in the pot the whole movie. Oh, they tricked us. They gave us a complete uh, phony idea. I can imagine a lot of fans raging. Dude, that would be so funny if like because wouldn't it make more narrative sense to introduce Shadow at least in a fourth or because you know how like I think Adventure leads into Adventure 2 because the Gamma not Gamma, the Chaos like drone things are in the second game and they're based off of Chaos from the first game. So wouldn't it make more sense that to have Sonic 3 be either Sonic CD or Sonic Adventure, and then 4 can be Adventure 2, and then 5 can be I don't know, Sonic '06 or whatever done right, or some other, you know what I'm talking about, where wouldn't it make more sense to get to the sort of like more modern 2000s stuff after a trilogy of classic related stuff? I can imagine a lot of fans be raging too. They just like oh, my favorite thing is that there's a guy who kept saying that Dragon Ball Super was coming back, and every time he would get asked like his source, they're just like there is none. So this person that was messing with him said that he has Randy Orton's theme song as his source. So, like you ask him, where'd you get your source? I hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They understand. They talk to me. Hey Megumi, it's confirmed because well, it is confirmed they're doing a Knuckles like spin-off show. Rouge will first show up in that show. Oh, what's my source? I hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They understand. They talk to me. Oh, it's confirmed. You will meet a woman in 2024. Oh, do you have a source or some kind of data to go along with what you're saying? I hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They understand. They talk to me. So that's his song. The song just going in and out the ear. I wish YouTube didn't have the monetization system with copyrighted songs. Um I like the song. I just think it's funny when you put it in that context of like we have no proof, so we just hear voices in our head. But it would be so funny when he did his like video saying that Dragon Ball was coming back. At the end of the video, somebody asked, he has like a person where it was like, "Hey, where did you? Where's your source?" And then he starts playing the song, and that's how he closed out every video. Oh my god! Oh, now every time I watch his stuff, I can't help but think of that song because there are no sources. They just make things up. This show is coming back in summer 2019, and it didn't come back that year. I mean that month rather. It's come back in October 2019, then it didn't come back. Uh January 2020 didn't come back. Yeah, it's being used in that context makes it sound so much like a parody. Hey, do you have anything else left to say? Because I am getting kind of hungry now and do want to get something to eat. Do you any further comments, statements, thoughts, concerns, theories, wonders? I do appreciate the donation. I don't know if I said that earlier in the ruckus of fielding questions and lifting heavy things for people to put in their cars, but I do appreciate it. I didn't I didn't know if I had said it earlier or not. So if you have anything else left to say, you can say it, or I can go and get something to eat. I remember there was this one old stream I had where I ate some food on there, and I was just it was like it's not even the one from last year with the car where it was like a burger, but there was one from maybe 3 years ago where I had like a whole thing of chicken on the plate. Megumi, anything else left to say? Speak now or forever hold your peace until Saturday. All good. Hope we have a great start to this year. I hope so too. It's been a really interesting last 2 months. I can say that there have been some status quo changes. You know, as far as I think we might actually this whole like living with relatives and trying to that might be on its last leg, which I can only be hopeful of. Uh, but yeah, I'll probably I think I might do another romance video by the end of the month, probably. Because I started like having some rumblings of an idea, but I'll keep you updated. So how's that? Anyways, thanks for showing up again. Thanks for the contribution. I appreciate it. Jem was here earlier. Uh, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.